Hello, everybody. So, today I'm going to do a review of the film Don't Look Now. This is a movie that came out in 1973. It's directed by Nicholas Roeg. Um, we really enjoyed watching it. I had not seen it before it came out on the Criterion Collection. It's a new release, at least the 4K version is a new release for Criterion. They, of course, as always, do an excellent job of putting these things together. The 4K looks great, it sounds great. It was a very enjoyable experience for me. I didn't know anything about it. My brother knew about it and he clued me into it. So I picked it up and checked it out and really enjoyed it. So I want to talk about it for a little bit. Like I said, it's a 1973 film directed by Nicholas Roeg. So the film has kind of this who is psychic and who isn't psychic vibe through the whole thing. In the movie, the wife gets up and goes into the bathroom, and one of the people at the other table follows them in and explains that they can see their dead child sitting between them, trying to communicate with them. That the child is literally with them at that time. It's kind of creepy and strange. It's pretty cool. Um, the the editing to me was kind of the neatest part of the whole experience for the film. Um, there's a few key sequences that that I want to talk about. The opening sequence is really just incredible, and it's actually the first thing that they filmed in the process. They filmed it in England, where they were based, and then they showed it around, and that's how they got really the go ahead to make a full film out of this. Unfortunately, I kind of think it might be the best piece of the whole film. But there are other pieces of the film that come very close to it. But the opening sequence is just incredible because they're cutting back and forth between the parents inside working and the children outside playing. And it creates this really weird tension as you're bouncing back and forth. And I don't just mean a smooth sort of um, Steven Spielberg kind of edit. It's jarring. It is strange. They're literally the sounds are bouncing back and forth, and the visuals are bouncing back and forth. It's very striking and interesting, and definitely worth checking out. And then you've got the final sequence of the film, which isn't bouncing back and forth so much. It's more just telling its one little piece, but it's a very shocking ending compared to the rest of the film. I'm not going to go into too many spoilers here, but it's a shock. It's a very strange ending. And then in the middle, there's a couple sequences. There's a sequence where he falls. He works in churches, and he's up on this huge scaffolding, and the whole thing collapses. And he's dangling there for his life. And they do this incredible thing in the editing. A board falls from above, which hits the scaffolding and causes it to shatter. Well, they show the board fall like a minute before it hits the scaffolding. So you've got him up here working, and you're sort of mesmerized by the stuff he's doing, and then this board falls, and then it cuts back to him working, and he's working and working, and you're like, did I see that? What was that thing? And then all of a sudden, bam! And it's just this weird, shocking, great editing moment that you don't get to see very often. You know, taking those kind of risks as an editor really paid off in this case. But there's another sequence where, for me personally, I don't think it paid off very well, which is they have this sex scene in the middle of the film. They feel it's important because they want to show that once the wife realizes that her daughter is still with her, she becomes a much happier, outgoing person. So they put a sex scene in the movie, which I think they could have dealt with it another way, but it's the 70s, you know. So they've got this sex scene in the middle of the film, but they do the cutting back and forth So they've got the sex scene and then them getting ready for dinner afterwards, which effectively, unfortunately, what it does is it makes this like 3.5 minute sex scene, which is pretty long as it is, into like a 10-minute sex scene. It just seems to never end, which to me was kind of a big negative. I'm not the biggest fan of watching that kind of stuff in the middle of a film that I'm enjoying. There's nothing wrong with it, of course. I'm not saying it should never be done or anything weird, but if you're watching a movie with other people, or it's just kind of awkward. It's kind of strange, and I don't know how really necessary it actually was to this specific story. Um, so that was kind of a negative for that editing style, but man, throughout the rest of this stuff, the ending, the beginning, and the falling scene, it's just incredible. It's a really excellent way to approach a movie like this. Um, it looks like Graham Clifford was the editor, and Graham Clifford and Nicholas Roeg both went on to do The Man Who Fell to Earth after this film. Now, The Man Who Fell to Earth isn't quite as extreme in the editing, but I think it's a more well known film. It's got David Bowie in it. It's a great movie. So if you know that movie, that'll kind of let you know what you're in for this film as well. They're both excellent films. Um, so for Don't Look Now, from Criterion, they've got some excellent special features on here, interviews with people, things like that. This one, I think Criterion isn't quite as dynamic with their special features as, say, Scream Factory or somebody like that. So this is just a lot of sitting and talking, which is just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I love getting the information. You know, one thing that they talk about a lot in these is the idea that the kind of the premise of the film is that nothing is what it seems. So you've got all of these characters that you just have no idea what they're up to. Are they lying? Are they telling the truth? Are they serious? Are they kidding? It's a very strange. There's a cop that he goes to because he feels like his wife is missing. And he's describing the people that his wife might be with. And the cop is literally looking out the window at the people he is describing. They're right there. He can see them, and he says nothing. Right? He's just taking notes and listening, and it's a very interesting, weird world that they create where you just have no idea: is everybody in on it? Is nobody in on it? What's going to happen? It's bizarre. It's a very shocking, really cool movie. I do want to say, because it's Halloween, I'm going to give this 2 ratings. Okay, as a cool film that you should probably know about if you're into film, I'm going to give this an 8. It's a very interesting watch. The editing is incredible. Of course, the people that worked on this have gone on to do other great things that you also should know about. Um, but for a horror film, if you're like, well, how scary is it? It's not that scary. Okay, it's not really a scary movie. I don't think I'll rank it. I'm just going to tell you this isn't the scariest movie. I don't think I'd go looking for this as a horror film specifically, but as a good movie, it's great. So I would definitely check it out. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to jump in and add a quick addendum to this video. The short story by Daphne Demure is actually almost plot point by plot point exactly like the film, or the film is almost exactly like the short story. It's literally a couple go to Venice to get over the loss of their child. They see twin sisters that have psychic powers. He follows somebody in a little pixie hood, and in the end, exactly what happens in the movie is how the story ends as well. So these filmmakers did follow Daphne Demure's story really, really well, almost plot point by plot point. Thank you.